So the original thing said, oh, all humans have a fixed lifespan because they have a fixed DNA extension called a telomere. And that all of a sudden led to counting how many cell divisions a cell will be able to experience before losing its telomere, and then put that into context of how many cell divisions we experience in our life. And it says, well, a human may have a life of anywhere from 80 to 90 to 100 years based on the amount of telomeres that are maintained in their body. Well, that said, oh my God, our lifetime is fixed. However, a woman by the name of Blackburn identified an enzyme called telomerase. Telomerase is an enzyme that extends the telomeres. I said, oh my goodness, if there's an enzyme that extends the telomeres, then the concept of a fixed life is totally wrong. Because as long as I can extend the telomeres, I can continue to divide the cells and maintain my life. So there is no limitation on how old we are, because we can use the extended telomeres to extend our lives. This then leaves us to a final understanding about the influence of telomeres in our lives. And it really comes down to this aspect, and it says this. There's the enzyme that can influence the production of more telomeres. If we activate the enzyme, we can extend our life and our health. If we don't activate the enzyme, our life will be shorter and will be influenced or affected by disease much more easily. So I say, okay, there are things that will enhance the telomerase, which will increase our life and our health, and there are factors in our life that can stop the telomerase and in the end cause us to have premature death and disease along with that. So I say, well, what are the conditions that are responsible for, let's say, inhibiting the telomerase that cause us to have the diseases that we have on this planet? And the answer to that is, here is a list of the following factors that will stop the telomerase activity, shorten your life, and cause you to have more disease. And these factors include stressful prenatal development. And the significance of that is, if you're stressing the cells in the very early part of life, you're promoting more cell divisions very early that will then use up the telomeres, and because of the stresses, you're not going to extend them. So the result is stressful prenatal development will shorten the duration of an individual's life. Childhood abuse will do the same thing. Now, people think childhood abuse is physical abuse, hitting your child. And I go, well, that is childhood abuse, but what you must understand is this: childhood abuse can also result from verbal abuse. So they say, no, I didn't hit my child, I just yelled at him. I say, no difference. Yelling at the child, hitting the child have the exact same effect on the telomeres because they inhibit the telomerase activity. Domestic violence, another factor that will shut down the enzyme. Post-traumatic stress disorder is also in that community of inhibitors of telomerase. Two last things to consider are this: nutritional deficiency. And the reason why that interferes with the telomerase is that we don't have the metabolic support to provide for telomerase activity. And let me just add this as what I think is the most important of the influences that shut down telomerase and lead us to disease, and that is a loss or lack of love. Love feeds the system, encourages health and growth. As I said, the experience of love releases growth hormone into the body, and in that environment we can create more health. But when there's no love, the telomerase activity will shorten itself. All of these things between violence, stress, lack of love say that we're not enjoying our lives. And the response to that is then our biology says, oh, okay, well then we can shorten it right away because we can use up the telomerase and get out of this lousy situation. I say, yeah, but look at the opposite consequences, the opposite things that result in enhancing the telomerase activity. Number one, good nutrition, and especially including omegas. Omega lipids are vital to supporting telomerase activity. Exercise, as I said, that's eustress. That's the thing that builds up the biology, and in building up the biology, again, that's another activator of telomerase. Love and self-love increase health and are feedback to the system. It says, I love my life. Just literally what you're telling yourselves is, I want more life. Love enhances telomerase to give us a greater opportunity to experience love on this planet. Along with love is positive outlook. If you see the future as bright, you're telling yourselves, I want to be here for the future. If you have a very negative outlook, what you're telling yourselves is, I'm afraid to be here and I don't want to be here because it's going to be very stressful, whatever it is, and you'll shut down the enzyme. So love, positive outlook, happiness, and gratitude are all thoughts of the brain translated into chemistry to engage telomerase, because those are the thoughts that say, I love my existence on this planet, I want to be healthy, and I want to maintain myself. And as a result, these thoughts and actions cause the telomerase activity to be increased, which ends up extending our life. And lastly, and most importantly, is that being in service activates telomerase. What does that mean? Are you a caregiver? Are you providing health for somebody? Are you providing something that other people need to stay alive? You start to get a conscious understanding that says, I am responsible for taking care of these things. I don't have the time to die early. I need to stay healthy longer because I have these jobs. So being in service is actually promoting telomerase activity and increasing your lifespan. Okay? And let's consider the opposite, which usually affects people after they retire. I'm retired. I have nothing left to do. What does the feedback of that thought have to do with our biology? Simple. When we have no function or reason to be here, we inhibit the telomerase because the telomerase was extending our life, and our thoughts say, we don't need any more extension. We're finished. I'm retired. I have nothing left to do. And I say, just that thought alone can stop the telomerase activity, and in that result causes us to shorten our lifespan and engage in more sickness as well, because the loss of telomeres are one of the factors that increase the problems in our biological system. The summary is this: our thoughts are translated into chemistry that shape our body. The shape of our body is complement to the thoughts. Positive thoughts give us a positive, healthy biology. Negative thoughts can actually introduce any disease and death. That these thoughts control our biology on a day-to-day basis and interfere with our metabolic and physiological systems if they're not supporting us. And then I go, but these thoughts and behaviors also influence our longevity, because these thoughts can alter the activity of telomerase enzymes. If we stop the activity of the enzyme, we are shortening our lifespan and increasing the chances that we will have disease. In contrast, if we engage in those behaviors, such as positive thinking, being in service, being in love, those are things that engage the telomerase enzymes, and these activities then prolong our life and make us healthier. Conclusion is very simple. We're not victims of our genetics and our heredity. Epigenetics reveals how these thoughts that we've been talking about influence the genetics and the behavior of our cells. Therefore, what we have to understand, and what we must also help others with, is that our health is not out of our control. Our health is directly under our control. The control of our perceptions, our beliefs, and attitudes actually is what will control the stresses. And the stresses are the things that cause the disease. If you stop stress, you can stay in health. And as a mission for healers around the world is to get the stresses out of the patient. So once the stress is removed, the system is able to rebuild itself using the chemistry of the brain to support growth and increasing the activity of telomerase activity, which supports a healthier, long-living biological system.